Okay. Some of you may have already seen the Instagram post that I've been making, talking about mind, human nature, blah blah blah. They aren't long enough to explain every topic, so I'm going to jump on here and we're going to talk about the state of no mind and my current perspective on it, and basically how you could potentially get to it yourself. But this isn't going to be the type of advice that you may expect. I'm going to focus on just explaining what it is, and from there, if that elicits enough interest in you, you'll go and find it yourself. And it's also to help anyone that has had this experience already understand what it was, and potentially give some sort of roadmap towards it. And the reason I sound ambiguous when I say that is because it's not an easy step-by-step plan by any means. It's very much a dedication that you would have to give in your own life in order to strip away what is necessary to arrive at a place like that constantly. So the way I wanted to start this video off is basically talking about how many things happen in your life that your mind doesn't have to control, but yet it works flawlessly. I want to say this because I think that a lot of people who imagine a state of no mind think, well, where's the power in that, basically? How is that the best place to be? Surely we need our mind. So, I'll bring attention right now to, let's say, the way that you're breathing. You don't need a conscious effort in order to focus on your breath for it to work. It just breathes all by itself. Even if you think of inhaling and exhaling, you don't know exactly what's going on in your lungs and the whole process of it and how it fucking turns into oxygen and goes into your blood and pumps around this whole body that you have. So you just breathe. And to be honest, how long could you really focus on your breath before you forget about it and then it happens all by itself? This goes for everything. Even walking, things that you would consider partly conscious, they're not conscious at all. Walking is another one. Left foot, right foot in front of the other. You don't know exactly how it works. There's a phenomenon in sport that when someone gets really good at something, whether it's tennis, golf, throwing, catching, football, anything, if they now try to think too much about each and every step of hitting the ball or doing the action, they will actually make it worse. Which is a very important point to understand within the topic of this video. Why is it that when you've been practicing to throw a ball for fucking 5 years, you've become really good at it, but now if you were to really focus on every single little movement using your conscious brain, you would make your throw worse? It is better to not think about it. I remember I want to stay away from techniques because we're going to get way deeper than just a technique, but this reminds me of this technique a guy gave, that if you want to throw a ball, you should just say the word to yourself, something like smooth while you throw it, or far, or one word that kind of encompasses the whole thing in order to keep your mind attentive to the process, but not too attentive. And he was trying to say that there's obviously this good balance between the two. But like I said, we're going to go further than that, and we're going to notice that having no mind at all is the ultimate place to be for performing a perfect action, and actually for living a perfect life as well. But I'm first of all using examples that you guys have probably heard of. It's common in sports that people talk about this stuff. It's less common that people think about the idea that they can live like this. So one of my favorite examples is Senna, F1, Formula 1 racing, 1988, best lap time. If you Google that right now, come back to the video or watch it after, you'll get a really good idea of what we're talking about. He actually did an interview afterwards, so you can find the clip on YouTube, where he says, my mind basically disappeared. It was just me, the car, and the tunnel, and nothing else existed. And on this lap, he was going 2 seconds or 1.7 seconds faster than the person behind them, which is a massive difference, especially on the lap of Monaco in Formula One racing. So how is it that he was doing an absolutely flawless lap whilst not thinking, whilst disappearing? And the reason is, it's the same reason that you're able to breathe and walk and talk and do all of these things without the mind. What is crazy arrogant of human beings is to think that they are in control of everything. To think that the mind is what keeps them alive and keeps them in check. You did not consciously decide to be born. You will not consciously decide to die. You don't consciously think about most of your life. Basically everything, apart from a few things within the moment, happen by way of unconscious, subconscious, no mind. The reason I don't like using the words unconscious and subconscious so much is because we get into the realm of like science, where we just outsource that to some subconscious mind thing. It's just more labels, more concepts to make us even more confused. Well, not confused, but further away from being able to obtain it. So, let me think now. That to me is probably the best way to explain to you the reality of the human experience and the reality of the mind and how it influences our behavior. I learned this also when I had a sales job when I was younger, that if I was present to the moment and I didn't think much, my words would come out easier, I would be more attentive to the customer, I would see what was going on, and I would be able to naturally become a better communicator the less that I thought. You can also think about this with public speaking. Why is it, even if I do a video like this, if I could get nervous, why is it that I can speak to a friend all day long? I never get nervous, I never think about what I'm saying, but the moment a video comes on, or the moment that you're put in a position of pressure, now suddenly you don't know what to say, you don't know how to say it, you overanalyze, and you basically fuck up this thing that you've been doing your whole life, which is just simply talking. It's another example of why the mind is fucking things up for you more than it is benefiting you. I'm going to give one more example and a few more things, and then we'll get on to the next part of the topic. But in seeing this, it might make you realize how fucking prideful and arrogant we all are, about this life that we have. We've been gifted it. It's going to be taken away from us. We're surrounded by intelligence on this planet Earth. Nature, the air is apparently full of oxygen that we can just breathe in and we're able to live. But yet we have such an arrogance on our own lives. We want it to go a certain way. We expect certain things from this life. We think that we're the ones that are in control, and we feel really prideful or arrogant or confident, whatever, off of this idea that we're the ones that are controlling this life. And this is all conscious mind. But yet the evidence shows the complete opposite. We are much more at the mercy of life. And surrendering to that will bring much more peace and a much better performance and a much better life, if it can truly be surrendered to. The danger is that this just stays a topic for you and you never really investigate it, and so you never really get to live in a place of less mind. The last one I like to say, because he's a fucking legend, is Bruce Lee. When he says he says two things, and they kind of work together, which is be like water, be formless. And he also says that between the instinct to punch and the actual punch, there shouldn't be any space. There shouldn't be a thought that questions, is this the right time to punch, or maybe this isn't the right time to punch. He was explaining that the ultimate way of fighting is to have no space between instinct and action. And that is the exact same thing that I am talking about right now. The formless, be like water, you can understand that in I don't know if he genuinely meant it this exact way, but this is my interpretation. I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying the same thing, is the form comes with the mind. The mind wants to act a certain way and be a certain way, and it has these mental models pre-made up that it wants to adhere to. But to be formless and to be like water, Bruce Lee says that water can crash, water can flow, it has many forms. To be like that means to act off of instinct and to surrender to life itself and to not live in the mind. I don't want to get too confusing with it, so I think this is all making sense. Not going to branch off too much. So, the reality of this state is, you know what, one last thing as well. The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle. It's a really famous book. Loads of people have heard of it. I read it when I was like 19 or so. It's explaining this same thing, being present to the moment. But this is what gets me onto the next part of this topic, which is, so many people have read this book the same way that so many people meditate every day. But people meditate or they read the book and then instantly go back to living in the mind. And I take a pause there, and I would keep taking a fucking pause because that is so powerful to understand. But people never look at that, and they just think that they need to read more books or practice more or try fucking harder to be in the present moment, which is not the case. If that was the case, loads of people by now would be constantly living in the present moment, but they're not. And this is why my videos and my posts on Instagram are not for common individuals who don't want to deeply question these things. Because if you don't want to deeply question this shit, you'll end up like everybody else who is reading the books, doing the practices, but really they may get a little bit more peaceful. They might have a small improvement in their life. They might feel better about themselves. But have they entered a state of no mind continuously? And importantly, without conscious effort. So, the path to this is going to be entirely unique to you. And I think I have to say this as well. I'm pretty sure it's reasonably true that a lot of people simply have never touched this state, and they may do one day by accident. And some people naturally have had this experience, even at a young age, and perhaps not known what it was. So I'm going to speak to those people that have had that experience and not known what it was. If you entered this space, you may have had an experience where your mind disappeared, you disappeared, everything that you think about that could be in the past or in the future disappears. You are absolutely here right now in this present moment. And with that, I don't know exactly what everyone else's experiences are, but from what I've heard and from what I experienced, is that it's like you've never actually seen this planet before until that moment. The colours are amazing. The sounds suddenly like take up your whole awareness. Just everything changes. It's super blissful and it's super peaceful. And then my question to you is, how long did it take before you were back inside the mind and you left that space? Whether it was an hour, a minute, a millisecond, 2 weeks. That's something for you to really look at and question as to why you have allowed yourself to come back to living in the mind, which I would assume is a whole load of suffering in comparison to being in the present moment. And this is where I will get onto what I think is the most important side of this topic, which is that arriving at this state, I mentioned it briefly earlier, is a surrender. This is not an active doing that gets you there. it's a surrender. To make my point more clear, the act of doing would be something like, make sure you meditate every day for 30 minutes. Make sure that you focus on your breath so that you can be present to the moment. Analyze your thoughts and become the observer. This kind of shit. The same shit that basically the whole, like anywhere you go to try and learn about this stuff, this is the shit you're going to be told to do. It is not a doing. This is not an action. It's a surrender. I suggest that you start reading all of my Instagram posts if you're into this, because in analyzing the world for what it really is, you begin to surrender to what really is. Instead of trying to change everything and manipulate your environment in order to get what you want out of it, the arrival at a state of no mind is going to come by way of surrendering to what is, by way of understanding what is. And now I'm trying to think how I can make that sound more clear. And also, this is why most people will never touch this place. Because to continually surrender and be honest about who you are, what the world is not what most people want to do. Most people would rather stay as they are, but be given an activity such as meditation so that they can continue being whatever, going and meditating and going back to the mind. But if you're genuinely serious about finding these states, or if you're genuinely fed up with the way that your mind is, and you felt that there's something more and there's something deeper, I encourage you to, number one, seriously question why you've allowed yourself to ignore it and act like it's not there. And number two, start to deeply analyze the flippantness of your mind and the mind of human beings. And to be honest, I think I'll leave the video there, because that is basically the only direction that I can give you. The rest is essentially up to you. I will say that the more that you experience this state, and the more that you understand that the mind is flippant in nature, that it's forever changing, that it 1 minute wants one thing, the next minute wants another thing, and you just start to get fed up with it, the more and more and more you start to experience the state of presence, the state of no mind. I won't even say no mind, let's say just less mind, because no mind is like the ultimate goal, but less mind. Then the more you see that place, the more continual interest you'll have in it, the more you'll become to understand it, and the more you'll understand as you watch it happen what takes you away from that place. Yeah. We finished there, I guess. It's not easy for me to put this all into words, I'll tell you that. But hopefully this has made some sense. And good luck with it. Because it can take a while, I'll tell you that. You've got to be prepared for a very long time of analysing your fucking life. Some of you may just come to this much easier than others. The first time I had this experience was 10 years ago, and it only happened every few years, and I've only come to understand it more and more deeply in the last couple of years. And this video is really for people that are willing, not even just willing, but can't even see another option other than investigating this stuff, because it will have an absolute deep interest to you if you're the right type of person for this type of shit. So, goodbye, good luck.